Hey gang, welcome to another Sunday Sermons with Sand. It's so great to see you again. Thanks for joining me. Hey, listen, I'm right here in the cemetery. And the reason for that is we're going to talk a little bit today about the Ides of March. It's pretty fascinating stuff. And the Ides of March, March 15th, which is this Saturday, and coincides with some really cool lunar activity. So I don't think either of the two have anything really to do with each other, but they just both happen to fall on the same time. All right, so let me tell you a little information about the Ides of March. It's a day on the Roman calendar that corresponds to March 15th. It was marked by several religious observances and became notorious, as we all know, as the date that Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC. The death of Julius Caesar made the Ides of March a turning point in Roman history. It was one of the events that marked the transition from the historical period known as the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire. Although March was the third month of the Julian calendar, in the oldest Roman calendar, it was the first month of the year. The holidays observed by the Romans from the 1st through the Ides, or the 15s, often reflect their origin as New Year celebrations, which I love it. Let's celebrate. The Romans did not number days of a month sequentially from the first through the last day. Instead, they counted back from 3 fixed points of the month. The nones, the 5th or the 7th, depending on the length of the month, the Ides, the 13th or the 15th, and the calends, 1st of the following month. The Ides occurred near the midpoint on the 13th for most months, but on the 15th for March. And also in May, July, and October, it would be the 15th, because there's an Ides in every month. But the Ides were supposed to be determined by the full moon, reflecting the lunar origin of the Roman calendar, which again, as I said, there's a lot of lunar activity, so I guess it is connected somehow. You pay attention this weekend, all right? That would be the 14th, 15th. On the earliest calendar, the Ides of March would have been the first full moon of the new year. So it sort of like was the new year, actually. So the Ides of March in each month was sacred to Jupiter, the Roman supreme deity. So the Flamen Dialis, Jupiter's high priest, led the Ides sheep in procession along the Via Sacra to the arks where it was sacrificed. In addition to the monthly sacrifice, the Ides of March was the occasion of the feast of Anna Perenna, a goddess of the year whose festival originally concluded the ceremonies of the new year. The day was enthusiastically celebrated among the common people with picnics, drinking, and revelry. Well, wouldn't we all want to be a commoner during the Ides of March? The day was enthusiastically celebrated, and one source from late antiquity also places the Mammalia on the Ides of March. This observance, which has aspects of scapegoat or ancient Greek pharmakos ritual, involved beating an old man dressed in animal skins and perhaps driving him from the city. The ritual may have been a New Year festival representing the expulsion of the old year. Think about the old year that they, in the old Christmas cards and things like that, that would depict like an old man being kicked out of somewhere. In the later imperial period, the Ides became Holy Week of festivals. Holy Week of festivals. I love it. The Ides of the day of Cana and Trot, the reed enters, is when Attis was born and exposed. Hold on, the papers are sticking, so I got it. There we go. You know how I roll. He was an infant, and he was placed among the reeds of the Phrygian River. He was discovered depending upon the version of the myth. But what's interesting is, was not John the Baptist placed in the river and found? So interesting, just interesting correlation. Let's see. So that tells you a little bit about that. But in modern times, the Ides of March is best known as the date on which Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC. Caesar was stabbed to death at a meeting of the Senate, As many as 60 conspirators led by Brutus and Cassius were involved. According to Plutarch, a seer had warned Caesar that no later than the Ides of March, they were going to assassinate him. And on his way to the theater of Pompeii, Caesar laughed when he ran into the seer and joked, "The Ides of March have come," meaning to say that the prophecy had not yet been fulfilled, to which the seer replied, "Aye, Caesar, but not gone." This meeting is famously dramatized in William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. So Caesar's death was a closing event in the crisis of the Roman Republic. As I mentioned, the Roman Republic eventually became the Roman Empire. And it triggered a civil war that would result in the rise to sole power of his adopted heir, Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, later known as Augustus. So after Caesar's death, Octavian executed the 300 senators and knights who had fought against him under Lucius Antonius, the brother of Mark Antony. And the executions were one of a series of actions taken by Octavian to avenge Caesar's death. So I thought that was pretty cool stuff. So that's what the Ides of March is all about. It's either a festival for a new year and celebrating Jupiter, or you might tie it right back to Julius Caesar, who was assassinated by his comrades, his Senate, 44 BC. Heading off to the theater, thought he was just going to go see something happening at the Theater Pompeii. All right, well, gosh, this has been a delight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stick around. Next time, I have a great story about the Ides of March you're not going to want to miss. Thanks. Who am I? I'm Sand. Where's my sand? It's right there. Stay tuned. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Thank you. Bye.